One thing that people often get confused about is they hear about being of benefit to sentient beings, and we all want to be, and we get enthused, and I want to do that. And then a family member says, come on a family vacation with us, and the family vacation happens to overlap with your Dharma retreat, and the family's pressuring you to go, and you're thinking, oh, if I go to the Dharma retreat, that's really selfish. I should go with the family because I should try and make other sentient beings happy and do what they want. Now, do any of you face this kind of situation? Yeah, and then you get in a quandary, because I want to do Dharma, but the family's this, and I should cherish others more than self, so I should do what all these other people want, Of course, your family wants you to go to Yosemite on vacation, and your friends wants you to go to Mexico on the same overlapping days, and this is all happening when you want to go on retreat, and then, how am I supposed to cherish others more than self? So we really have to have quite a large mind and a big perspective, because cherishing others more than self does not mean that we do everything other people want us to do. Okay, that's very important. Cherishing others more than self does not mean we do everything other people want us to do. We have to have wisdom and to assess what's the value of that action, in terms of those people. What's the value of doing something else with the same time at this, that's overlapping, but a different action with other people? What thing is going to be more valuable to the greater number of beings in the long term? Long term is very important, because we may try and please people short term, but they're happy for a short time, and then they're upset and demanding again. Yeah, and we get in quite a quandary trying to please them because they're implacable. Is that the right word? Implacable? You can't fulfill all they want. And most of what they want is short-term happiness. Yeah. So it's not selfish to go to a Dharma retreat if you have the motivation to practice for the benefit of all beings in the long term. You need to practice to attain realizations. Yeah. And this is going to enable you to do that. So a few people may be unhappy right now, but in the long term, many people will be better off. Okay, so you have to evaluate things like this. So bodhicitta doesn't mean being a people pleaser. For those, how many of you have people-pleasing instincts? Yeah. And it gets really kind of crazy, because you try and please this one, you try and please this one. They all want different things. And even if you please them, they still want more. And it's, an bottomless pit. So, that's why in so many of these meditations, we really have to understand them in a deep way, in a broad way, not in a narrow perspective. Okay? Not like, oh, my relatives they're going into this business deal. I think it's kind of shady. I don't think it's very good. But they really want the whole family to be involved in it, and they're pressuring me to go in, and I should really do it just to make them happy. Is that wise? No, that's foolish, isn't it? So you say, no, I don't want to do the business deal. Then they get so mad. You're splitting the family, blah, 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 blah. Then what do? Do you say, oh, I'm so guilty again, I make everybody unhappy? Or do you get confused? Oh, maybe I should do it. Maybe I'm wrong. It'll be a good deal after all. And if I lose money, it's only a little bit. So you justify something to yourself. So we have to look at how our mind works here and really use our wisdom. Really use our wisdom. Okay. So we finished yesterday kind of the section about equalizing self and others. And the next session is about exchanging self and others. But before we go into that, I want to talk a little bit about the disadvantages of self-centeredness and the benefits of cherishing others, because that discussion comes here. Actually, Shantideva has it in one of the later verses. He says in 129, whatever joy there is in this world all comes from desiring others to be happy, and whatever suffering there is in this world all comes from desiring myself to be happy. What need is there to say much more? The childish work for their own benefit, the Buddhas work for the benefit of others. Just look at the difference between them. Okay, so that's 129 and 130. We aren't there yet, but I want to talk about the meaning of those verses before we get into exchanging self and others. Okay? Because it's very important that we're able to correctly understand, I have the hiccups, correctly understand what the self-centered attitude is, and correctly understand what benefiting others means and cherishing others means. Okay? Sometimes the term that I'm translating as self-centeredness or alternatively self-preoccupation is translated as self-cherishing. I think that translation is misleading because it makes people, they hear all the faults of self-cherishing. So if I don't cherish myself, what's the opposite of cherishing myself? I hate myself. So then they think, I've got to hate myself. Yeah, because in order to be compassionate, I've got to hate myself. I can't have any pleasure because everything about me is so self-centered. And then they get really down on themselves. Okay? I had a friend who told me, because she was quite confused about this, always hearing the disadvantages of self-centeredness. And she went to one Tibetan Lama, and was working through a translator, and said, I'm understanding from this teaching that, taking care of myself is all wrong, and, and I should kind of totally ignore myself and criticize myself and think that I'm an awful person so that I'm not self-cherishing. And the Lama, of course, not understanding Western psychology and how we think, says, yes, that's right. And then she just, tried practicing like that for a number of years until we started talking, and I explained what the actual meaning was that the Lama didn't understand because of the words and the translator and everything. Yeah, so we have to be quite careful here, because also in our culture, we have all this imprint from, if you're happy, it means you're selfish. If you really want to be compassionate, you have to be in pain. Okay? I'm not criticizing here, but look at the symbol of the cross. Isn't that what it's indicating, Jesus is held up as this example of compassion and working to benefit others, but he's there in so much pain. Yeah, and so we're exposed to that, and it's implanted in the mind. And then we come up with, well, if I'm happy at all, then I'm really selfish. Yeah, so if I want to be compassionate, I should be in pain. That is not true, okay? From a Buddhist viewpoint, we are not talking about hating ourselves, blaming ourselves, sacrificing ourselves with, or tormenting ourselves with useless pain. This is not what the Buddha is talking about here. Okay, this is very important to understand. It's interesting because there's many areas of the Dharma where we have a lot of imprint from our culture, and we bring that imprint into the Dharma and misinterpret the Dharma. Yeah. Another example is karma and its effects is, like God rewarding you and punishing you. No, it's totally different than God rewarding and punishing you. It has nothing to do with reward and punishment. And it has nothing to do with somebody sending you to heaven and hell. Because in Buddhism there is no kind of manager of the universe. And we create causes and we experience the results of the causes we create. Nobody punishes, nobody rewards. Yeah. Okay, so there's many kinds of things like this. So that's why it's important when we hear these topics to really try and think deeply what the meaning is. Yeah, and to ask if it's not making sense to you. Okay, so if you come out more confused, if you come out feeling lousy and crummy, chances are you haven't understood the meditation properly. Some meditations make us feel real sober. Yeah, they have a sobering effect on our mind. That's fine because we need to get a little bit serious and sober. But that's very different than coming to the conclusion that, I'm bad, or, woe is me, I'm going to hell and there's nothing to do about it, and, all this kind of stuff.
I find that these discussions these few days are really at some point made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And reached the conclusion that my self-centered thought is getting uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I'm kind of questioning how that self-centered thought is manifesting in my life, and it's just it's a very shaky ground to be on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, these teachings very much are provoking the self-centered thought. Because self-centeredness sees the universe in the exact opposite way than Shantideva does. And self-centeredness is not going to go, Shantideva, you make complete sense. You're right. I'm going to cherish others more than myself now. So self-centeredness isn't going to do that. It's fighting for its life. And it's very clever. And it's going to tell you all sorts of things and run you around and get you tied up in knots, very confused. Yeah? So just a warning. That's why it's so important, to use our wisdom and to ask questions when we get confused, to make sure we're understanding things correctly. Okay, so to talk about the disadvantages of self-centeredness, well, first of all, what is self-centeredness? It's the mind that says, I am more important than everybody else. Yeah, my suffering is more important than anybody else's. You know, my happiness is more important than anybody else's. I should have everything good, and other people can get what's left over. I don't wish them harm unless they harm me. If they harm me, yes, then I wish them harm. But if they don't harm me, then it's okay, they can be happy. But first I come. Okay? So it sounds pretty rotten, doesn't it, when we spell it out like that? And we don't like to think of ourselves as people who really think like that, do we? We like to think of ourselves as nice people. Okay, we're a little bit selfish once in a while, but we're pretty benevolent and generous, and, you know, we take care of other people. We don't, when we speak about the way self-centeredness operates in a very frank way, we say, oh no, that's not me, that's too extreme. I'm not thinking always of my own happiness. As Lama used to say, check up, dear. Yeah? Are you thinking always of your own happiness, or aren't you? Whose happiness do you think about the most in the universe? Our own. If we think about others' happiness, whose happiness is it? Friends and family, people who benefit us. Okay? So, if we really look closely all the time, I mean, we can admit it, we're with friends. We don't have to put on a face and pretend that we're free of self-centeredness. Okay? I mean, we just need to admit it. It's there. Yeah. It's much easier than doing a tap dance and trying to look good. Okay. It's like somebody saying to me, Chudran, you have a big nose. And I say, I don't have a big nose. I don't have a big nose. What are you talking about? I have this little dainty nose. Can't you see it? See? Little dainty. Yeah? It's like everybody knows I have a big nose. Who am I fooling? Yeah. So it's just much easier. Yes, I'm self-centered. You know, welcome to the club. Because you know what? If you think you're going to try and be better than everybody else because you think you're the only one who's not self-centered, then you're really self-centered. Yeah, and very attached to reputation. Okay, so it's better. Let's just admit it. It's there. Okay? But then, you know, the self-centeredness is very devious. It's not who we are. It's not an inherent part of us. Okay, we have to be very clear about that. It's not in our nature. It's something added on. Okay? So it's something added on. It's also based on wrong conception, which means it can be eliminated. Okay, so we aren't stuck with our self-centeredness forever. So when self-centeredness starts to talk to you, and it's so slick. Yeah, you think 007 was slick, self-centeredness. Self-centeredness, just so slick. I'm looking out for your benefit. You're not that selfish. And you need to follow me because I'm very kind and I will take care of you. And if you don't listen to me, other people, you know, they're all very selfish and they won't help you at all, says self-centeredness. You listen to me. I'm your true friend. Because after all, what is that slogan? If I don't, something to the effect, if I don't help myself, who will help me? Yeah? So, you just have to help yourself. And Buddha even said that, you have to take care of yourself. So have a bubble bath, After your bubble bath, just, lie in the sun for a while. Take out a junk novel or a sci-fi thing. Or, watch the baseball game. Just relax. No problem. Yeah. Then when you're good, then have a good meal. Of course, you have to have a very good meal. Yeah. And then you can practice the Dharma later after you're relaxed. Because if you're uptight now, yeah, you really need a bubble bath to relax. Yeah, and then you can do a sauna too. Go the whole 9 yards. Indulge. It's okay. You'll feel better. And then you can practice more. Yeah? Yeah. And especially when self-centered thought quotes the Buddha. Then we really perk up. Oh yeah. That's right. Buddha said, yeah, Lama said, don't push yourself. Oh, I've been pushing myself all along. Oh, I need to really, I know I very seldom follow Lama's advice, but now I'm going to follow it. Okay? So we need to outsmart self-centeredness. We need to observe it and watch how it operates and be able to catch it. Yeah, because it will justify and rationalize everything and anything. Okay. Now, there's 2 levels of self-centeredness. There's probably more, but the 2 basic ones. One is the self-centeredness people have who have not entered the bodhisattva path. Okay? And then there's the self-centeredness that, let's see, I'm not doing this very well. Okay, there's the self-centeredness of people who work for their own liberation alone. Okay, and then there's the self-centeredness of those of us who are wallowing in the 8 worldly concerns. That's a better way to put it. Okay? So the 8 worldly concerns, if you're unfamiliar with them, even though they run your life, and are operating every day without fail, the 8 worldly concerns are attachment to having money and receiving money and material possessions, and aversion when we don't receive it, when we lack it, when our things get broken or lost. Okay, do you have that? Yeah? Okay, second one is we love to receive praise. Yeah, we want to have praise, we want approval. We want people to say nice things about us that we can hear. I love you. You're so excellent. You're better than everybody else. Yeah, right. You're the monastic of the month. So, so we love to hear that. I'm the monastic of every month, we say. Yeah. So, and then what we don't like, what we get upset about, is when we're criticized, when people disapprove of us. Yeah, when they point out our faults. We do not like this at all, one single bit. In fact, it's illegal. So that's the second set of 2. So that makes 4 worldly concerns. Do you have these? Yeah. Then the next pair is attachment to reputation. I want to have a good reputation. So whatever field you're in, You want the people around you in your office place, in your field, whatever it is, you want a good reputation with them. Okay? So, you're the best monastic of the month. Yeah, you're the best, whatever it is, you bowl better than everybody else. Your bowling score is top notch. Your bonsai trees are peerless. Yeah, you're the best Buddhist teacher everywhere. Yeah, you're the most good looking. You have the most power. We want a good reputation in whatever we're working with. I know more about, some kind of bacteria whose name you can't even pronounce than anybody else in the world. I'm an expert on that. So we want that reputation. And we don't like a bad reputation. Yeah, people saying, look what they did. They did this, they did that, not to be trusted. Okay, on and on and on. Okay. Do you have this stuff about reputation? Want a good one? Don't want a bad one? Because if you have a bad reputation, you're not going to get a job. And nobody's going to love you. And then your parents aren't going to approve. Right? Okay. Then, so that's the third pair. Then the fourth pair is, it's put in different ways. One way is we want pleasure of our senses, to see, hear, taste, touch, feel nice objects, and we get very upset when we have unpleasant sensations. Yeah, it's too hot, it's too cold, the food stinks. Yeah, the meditation hall stinks. Whatever it is, we get upset. Another way that it's put sometimes is in terms of success and failure. We want success, we don't want failure. Okay, do you have these? Yep. Okay, so this is the very gross way of, the very gross form of the very gross form of self-centeredness, that's completely involved in the self-centered thought, okay, and the 8 worldly concerns. Welcome, Tanner. So, that's the very gross form. Then the subtler form is for people who say, okay, I'm renouncing those 8 worldly concerns. That's just all worldly garbage. But I want liberation for myself alone. And really, the bodhisattva path is too hard, and it takes too long. And I have to give away my body, and I have to get rid of all my self-centeredness. And I have to spend 3,000 great eons collecting merit for all these nitwits. I'm sorry, these people do not deserve 3,000 great eons of my time. I just want to get liberated myself, get out of this stinking hole of samsara. I wish you all the best. I have compassion for you, but you're on your own because I'm getting liberated, and, don't drag me to the bottom. Okay? So that's the subtler form of self-centeredness. That's just looking out for our own liberation, our own spiritual practice, not caring about others. Yeah. In one way, it's a very virtuous intention because this person is wanting liberation. They're not involved in the 8 worldly concerns, So it's very virtuous. Seeking liberation rather than, money and fame and stuff like that. It's virtuous, but it's extremely limited. Yeah. It's extremely limited because it's working for one person's liberation, above all others. So in that way, it's self-centered. Okay? So, the self-centeredness, we're afflicted by both kinds. Yeah. The reason that we talk so much about bodhicitta, even though it's something that it's going to take us a while to generate, but we talk about it a lot. We fabricate it a lot, at the beginning of every meditation session, the beginning of every teaching session. We remind ourselves of that because we want to put those imprints very strongly in our mind so that, when we get to that point of the path where we could decide to work for our own liberation alone, we don't choose that. We've had enough imprints about hearing about the kindness of other sentient beings, about the benefits of bodhicitta, the disadvantages of self-centeredness. We've heard that enough. It's in our mind, in the recesses of our mind, that we don't choose our own liberation just alone. We choose, okay, it's going to take longer, it's harder, but in the end, it's more worthwhile to try and become a fully awakened Buddha for the benefit of other living beings. Okay? So that's why we're generating bodhicitta again and again and again and again. Yeah. The 8 worldly concerns, on the other hand, are very directly impeding our progress on the path. Okay? Do you think? Yeah. How do they, let's hear some examples, just one sentence, how they impede your progress on the path.
Distraction.
Distraction.
We
Yeah?
sense pleasure even though we know it's going to impede our ability to practice.
We
indulge in sense pleasures even though we know it's going to impede our practice.
Yeah, so we indulge in sense pleasure, even though one part of our mind is saying, this isn't too smart to do, but we do it anyway. Yeah. Okay?
Time consuming. It takes us away from our practice.
It what?
It's time consuming. It takes us the time that we could be learning and practicing, we're making money instead.
Right, yeah. So the time that you could be devoting to the Dharma, you're sitting there making money because you always need more money. Yeah, you never have enough. Whoever has enough money? Nobody has enough money. Yeah?
We create negative karma trying to keep ourselves on the good side of the 8 worldly concerns.
Yes. We create a lot of negative karma trying to get the 4 good ones and abandon the 4 bad ones. And we may lie or steal, talk badly behind people's back, criticize them to their face, create disharmony. We do all sorts of things to get 4 of the worldly concerns and get away from the other 4.
We tend to nurture the afflictions rather than combating them.
Yeah, we nurture our afflictions. Yeah, like, this isn't really an affliction. Yeah? This isn't really. I mean, somebody harmed me. I should do something to put them straight. If nobody puts them straight, those poor dears are going to continue to harm other people. They need somebody strong like me to punch them in the face so that they know they shouldn't do it again. Right? Hmm? Yeah, the sense it magnifies the sense of I. Yeah, all the time.
Your mind can never be content. So then you really can never get it calm.
Yeah, yeah, so you can never really get your mind calm because there's always discontent. Because self-centeredness' slogan is more and better. More and better, I want more and better. I gotta get more and better. Yeah?
It keeps us isolated from other people and deludes us into thinking we don't
Yeah, very much. It keeps us isolated from others, you know. Sometimes by thinking we're too good for them, sometimes by thinking we're not good enough for them, sometimes by thinking they're just too time-consuming anyway, you know. Or sometimes thinking, what can I get out of them? Yeah, we connect with others, but what's the motivation? What can I get out of them? Rotten.
I think the other side of that, at least in Seattle really seeing that, is the connectivity is of the eight-year-old concerns. Like how everything is sped up. You can hashtag, you can text, you can email, and we're thinking we're connected.
Yeah. We get confused about what connection really means. Yeah. And we think it means getting a lot of text messages. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, when you come here and you have to give your phone to Venerable Samten, some people get very upset. Yeah. It's like we're asking them to cut off their hand and put it in the little box, you know, because their phone is part of them. You know, who am I going to be if I don't have my phone? Yeah, I might miss out on something. I won't know what Harry ate for breakfast tomorrow morning. My goodness. You know. Hey, what else? Mm-hmm.
So if you're competing, then everyone else is an adversary or someone to step on.
Yes. So it makes us very competitive. Everybody's an adversary. We have to conquer people. Yeah. Or if they conquer us, we have to rebel. What else? Yeah.
I think it confuses us in ways, and I'm trying to figure this out. You know, if I were to do something good for an enemy,
Mm-hmm.
it would be for the reasoning that everybody's going to know how wonderful I am because I did this for an enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it makes us do things that look nice,
Right.
but for the wrong reason.
Right. But I guess I would ask, should I do that nice thing anyway? Or do I just need to sit with that a little bit and turn that into actual genuine compassion and then do it?
Yeah, I think work on your mind a little bit, but still do the action. Mm. Yeah.
If you're motivated by the eight body concerns, then everything you do is not normal.
Exactly. That's the borderline. You know, people say, what is Dharma? What is a Dharma action? It depends on whether the eight worldly concerns are involved or not. If the eight worldly concerns are involved and we're seeking only the happiness of only this lifetime, then it's not a Dharma action. Yeah, so we can do lots of things that look nice, but without any of them being actual Dharma actions.
A lot of us also have this thinking that we need to earn enough money so that we can retire and then go into retreat.
Yes!
Or work very hard now so that I have time to practice later. What if I don't have enough money? I won't have money to go for retreats as well.
Yeah.
That kind of thinking.
Yes. You know, the eight worldly concerns work that way. I'm going to go because I have to earn a lot of money so then I can retire and just do retreats. Yeah. Of course, you retire at age 70, you know. Yeah. And you're walking to your retreats with a cane and so on and so forth. Yeah. Makes us put off Dharma practice. Yeah. The other one, the corollary with that one of I've got to make a lot of money so I can retire and do Dharma, is I've got to make a lot of money so I can be generous to Dharma practitioners. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I cannot tell you how many people have told me, I'm going to go and make a lot of money and then donate it. to Dharma things. I've heard that a lot.
Still waiting for the donation.
Yeah. Okay. So do you see how conniving self-centeredness is, and how it distracts us from the Dharma, but it also makes us create a ton of negative karma. So we work very hard to get the pleasure we want and get away from the things we don't like. But in the process of doing that, we lie, we criticize, we cheat people, we do all sorts of nasty things, creating a lot of negative karma. And who's going to experience the result of that negative karma? Me. So self-centeredness is, says, follow me, I will help you be happy. But actually, by following it, we create the causes of suffering. Yeah. So this is why it really takes a lot of astuteness on our part to see this, because when the reasons come, the reasons the self-centered thought gives come, we are so familiar with them. We think the self-centeredness's logic is genuine reasoning, and we just go along with it out of habit and out of fear of what other people will think if we don't do that. Yeah. Out of fear of change. We'd much rather do something that's familiar, even if it makes us miserable, than do something that's unfamiliar. Yeah. So this is all the workings of the self-centered thought. Okay? Not to mention, what's the source of all of our unhappiness in our relationships with other people?
Their self-centeredness.
Right. Their self-centeredness. If they would only change, we wouldn't have any problems in the relationship. They're just too self-centeredness. We've got to give them the tape of this talk. Yeah. For their own good. Okay. But if we look a little closer, who else's self-centeredness is involved here? Yeah? Okay. What makes us cover up our true motivations, or what makes us cover up things we've done that we don't want other people to know about, because then we're afraid they won't think so well of us? Yeah, protecting our reputation. Yeah. But what makes us do that? Self-centeredness, isn't it? What makes us say the most awful, horrible, spiteful, painful things to the people we care about the most in the world? Things that we would never say to a stranger. Yeah. Our self-centeredness. Because who do you speak the worst to? A stranger or somebody you care about?
Someone close to you.
Who do you get the maddest at?
Someone close to you.
Somebody's close to you. We would never treat a stranger the way we treat someone who's close to us. Yeah? What makes us do that? It's a self-centered thought. Hmm?
Couldn't we reduce self-centered thought to just the word fear?
It's more than fear. Self-centeredness has an element of fear, but the slogan is more and better, more and better. It's grabbing.
If I don't have it, I'm going to, it's because if I don't have it, I'm not going to be enough,
Mm-hmm.
That fear of not being enough.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, that's in there for sure. Yeah, definitely fear's a big thing. But there's, there's different balances of fear and attachment, put it that way. Yeah. Okay. So it's very good, when we to really sit in our meditation and look at our lives and, how the self-centeredness manifests and how it creates so many problems for us. Now, the purpose of doing this is not so that we beat ourselves up and hate ourselves for being so selfish. Okay, repeat. Yeah, the purpose is not so we start beating up on ourselves. I'm so selfish. I'm such a horrible person. Look what I've done. I'm irredeemably so selfish. This is terrible. Okay, that thought itself is self-centered. Because I'm really sorry to disappoint you, but you are not the worst person in the world. Yeah? When we get into that mental state of how bad I am, I'm really sorry, you're not the worst person. So don't get into that. Yeah, because we want to be the worst one, don't we? If I can't be the best, I'm going to be the worst. Sorry, just more self-centeredness. Yeah. Guilt, also self-centeredness. I'm so awful, I'm so terrible, the marriage dissolved because of what I did, it's all my fault. Yeah, you're really powerful. You alone can make everything in the universe go wrong. That's the way our self-centeredness thinks, isn't it? I am so powerful, I can ruin everybody's life. That's the way we think. Stupid. Untrue. Okay, you getting what I'm saying? Yeah.
Can you talk about the gradient a little bit in the going from 8 worldly dharmas to real dharma? In that the danger in my experience of self-centeredness is that it permeates. It can talk its way into anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, why ask a question in a dharma talk? It's like name and fame. It's kind of riding under there, right? And so it seems like until you can get rid of self-grasping, it's hard to actually do real dharma practice, right? Because the self-centeredness is always there in some form until you have a direct experience of emptiness and wisdom. So can you talk about that gradient a little bit?
Yeah, because you don't have to realize emptiness to overcome self-centeredness. The lower level bodhisattvas, they've overcome self-centeredness, but even though they don't have a direct realization of emptiness yet. Okay? So the thing is that we just keep working at it. Instead of having some unrealistic expectation of I've got to banish my self-centeredness by tomorrow. Yeah. Is just, okay, I've got to be on the lookout for it, notice it, back off from it. I'm not going to succeed in being totally altruistic for a long time, but at least the very gross kinds of self-centeredness, those big ones, I'm going to really try and keep on the lookout for them. So, it's like when you're working on your mind, choose your biggest defilement. Work on that one first, because that one creates the most confusion in your life. Same with self-centeredness. Work on the big ways in which you're self-centered first. Yeah? And then gradually you get into the smaller ones. Okay? But don't drive yourself crazy about, constantly telling yourself how self-centered you are.
I think there's value the mindfulness of recognizing where it's sneaking in, because then it's easier to push it out, right,
Mm-hmm.
without overly fixating.
Right. Exactly.
And I guess I'm just curious if you could elaborate a little bit more on the kind of the relationship of self-centeredness and self-grasping, and is it a spectrum?
Oh, okay.
Right? Or is
Okay. Okay, so self-centeredness and self-grasping. Self-centeredness is a hindrance to the bodhisattva path. Okay? So it's a hindrance to becoming a fully awakened Buddha, to becoming a bodhisattva. Self-grasping ignorance is a hindrance not only for Buddhahood, but also for liberation. Okay? They're two different things. They're henchmen. Yeah. I mean, they're like the boss and his El Chapo and his first assistant, you know? Oh,
Doesn't self-grasping give rise to self-centeredness?
The self-grasping gives rise to the gross kind of self-centeredness of the 8 worldly concerns. Okay? Because the self-grasping gives rise to attachment, anger, jealousy, pride, all those things, which are also in the domain of self-centeredness. But the kind of self-centeredness of an arhat, or of somebody who's practicing on the arhat or solitary realizer path, yeah, that's the subtle kind of self-centeredness they have.
Which is just a lack of altruistic
Yeah,
intention.
yeah, yeah. They can even have compassion. Yeah, and they may have overcome the 8 worldly concerns, and they, arhats have overcome the self-grasping ignorance. Yeah, but there's that subtle self-centeredness that's there, that says, I'm going to work for my own liberation alone. Okay.
Could you just give me a short? I never heard that there was a difference between self-grasping and self-centeredness.
Uh-huh.
What do you think of when you're saying self-grasping?
Okay, self-grasping is the mind that misapprehends how people and all other phenomena exist. It's the self-grasping is the one that apprehends things as truly existent, as inherently existent, apprehends things in a way that as having a mode of existence that they do not have. Self-centeredness does not misapprehend that phenomena in that way. Self-centeredness just thinks I'm the most important one. Okay? Yeah.
Which part of the Mahayana path does the Bodhisattva get rid of the self-centered?
To enter the Mahayana path, you have to overcome self-centeredness. So that's the very beginning, the path of accumulation. On the small part of the path of accumulation, you can still lose your bodhicitta if you get angry at somebody. Okay? Once you get into the middle part of the path of accumulation, your bodhicitta is more stable.
So at that point, you have eliminated the self-centered thought.
You've suppressed a certain level of it, pretty much eliminated it. There's probably some other stuff hanging out in there, because also you haven't realized emptiness yet. Okay. You had a question before?
You were saying that the afflictions are in the domain of self-cherishing. I think that's an interesting way to describe it. And I wondered if, while those afflictions have their own unique characteristics, the self-centeredness is the one saying, this will make me happy, and my happiness is most important.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those two things go together.
Yeah. I mean, the self-grasping gives rise to all the afflictions. And then the afflictions, self-centeredness says, hey, I'm most important, I want happiness. And attachment says, yes. And anger says, I'll protect you. So, they jump right in there and give support to self-centeredness.
I think I found it quite challenging to really understand how self-centeredness is not a wrong consciousness, while self-grasping is.
It's,
Otherwise our house would have it.
yeah, it's not an affliction, okay? Yeah, it's not self-centeredness isn't an affliction. They say it's a special obscuration to the Mahayana path. It's a little bit crazy because, we've asked our teachers, is every obscuration, is it either an afflictive obscuration or a cognitive obscuration? And they say, yes, it's got to be one or the two. And then you say, what is self-centeredness? It's neither. It's a special obscuration to the Mahayana path. That's all I can tell you. I don't understand more than that. Okay? It's not an affliction, but it's definitely an obscuration to attaining Buddhahood.
But not a cognitive obscuration.
It's not a cognitive obscuration, no, because it's gotten rid of, before you even start eliminating the cognitive obscurations. Because the cognitive obscurations are what cause the subtle appearance of inherent existence. And self-centeredness doesn't cause that.
I've never heard it called an obscuration.
Obscuration to the Mahayana path.
Yes, but an obscuration is something that's abandoned by how. So that's not abandoned by how.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. I'm just repeating what I heard. I'm not claiming to understand it. Yeah? So maybe ask some other people who understand better than I. This is, as far as I've gotten in my questioning. And we've questioned. When you look at the parts of yourself that you don't like so much, chances are self-centeredness is intermingled with them in one way or another. Yeah? Like give me some examples. What things don't you like about yourself? Arrogance, okay? So self-centeredness is right there with arrogance, isn't it? They're best friends. I'm the most important. I'm the smartest. I'm the whatever. Right there. Hmm? Laziness. Oh boy, self-centeredness is real good friends with laziness. Yeah, it provides all the excuses that laziness needs. Yeah? Mm-hmm.
Could you say that all of the 6 root afflictions are driven by self-centeredness?
All the
6 root afflictions?
6 root afflictions. No, I would say they're driven. It's from they arise due to self-grasping, but they're good friends with self-centeredness. All of our wrong views are good friends with self-centeredness. Yeah, I have a wrong view. I think it's the best view. Why? Because everything I think is right. I would never have a wrong view. I'm too smart to have wrong views. Be quiet, what do you know? Okay. When we have a pity party, do you ever have pity parties? Yeah? Pity parties and self-centeredness, oh, they are in love with each other. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Pity parties, just, you know. Yeah, anger too. The self-centeredness is right there. I'm right. I'm right. You're wrong.
Right, but no. About forgetfulness.
Yeah, I mean, why are we forgetful? Distraction. Yeah, inability to concentrate. Okay, so it's really to see the purpose, okay, of seeing the faults of the self-centeredness is so that we will start to see it as the thief that it is. We will start to see it as the terrorist that it is and cut it short before it works out its own thing, okay? As long as we don't see the disadvantages of self-centeredness, we coddle it and we think it's our best friend, and it winds us around its little finger. So that's why we have to continually think about the disadvantages of self-centeredness, not so that we'll hate ourselves, because remember, the self-centeredness is not an inherent part of us. We're here, self-centeredness is there. When we think about the disadvantages of self-centeredness, we point the finger to self-centeredness. And we say, this is your fault. We don't point it and say, it's my fault. Because then we just fall into beating up on ourselves and all of self-hatred and all that rubbish. Okay? So it's very important to see self-centeredness is not who we are. We think of its disadvantages. It's like, you know, if you keep missing things out of your house, you know that there's a thief. Okay? Stuff keeps vanishing out of your house. There's a thief. You've got to identify the thief. Yeah? Because the thief is living in your house. I mean, it's able to take, like, a self-centeredness takes out all of our virtue. It takes out our good karma. It makes us create negative karma. It's like a thief living in our house that we don't even recognize as a thief. And instead, we think it's a friend. Okay? So it's like learning to identify that thief and say, you've been fooling me this whole time, and I'm not going to let you fool me anymore. Okay? And then when you know what the real thief is, then you can kick it out and lock the door behind it. Yeah. But until we can see the self-centeredness as the thief, we're just going to keep inviting it in. Sit down, have some tea, there's some chocolate chip cookies, enjoy yourself, self-centeredness. You're my best pal. Okay? So the reason for doing this is so we can identify the thief and then lock the thief out. Okay? So it's going to take us some time, some repetition to do this, to see this accurately. And it's also, we're going to really have to be very close on the lookout for that mind that starts putting ourselves down and telling ourselves we're so bad because we're self-centered. Because that's really how self-centeredness, tricks us. So we have to very much be on the lookout for that. Okay. Then another thing to do to counteract the self-centeredness is to think of the benefit of cherishing others. Okay? When we think of the disadvantages of self-centeredness, sometimes it's just like, oh my God, can't I think of something positive after a while? Well, yeah, then, if it gets to be too much, then you think of the benefit of cherishing others, and how good other people feel when you cherish them, and how good you feel when you cherish them, and how cherishing others and taking care of them is the source of all the connection and love and compassion and good feelings in the whole universe. Yeah? So you go through a whole thing there about how caring about others. And here, caring about others means really from our heart. It doesn't mean I should care about them. It means, it's based on this meditation that we've done of seeing the kindness of others and having a very, very strong awareness of the kindness we've received from others. And based on that awareness, then to see the benefit of cherishing them, it makes us very happy. Yeah? And there's just, one benefit after the other of cherishing others, which we'll go into tomorrow. Yeah, but important to remember it today so that at least you do some of it in your meditation. Okay? Anything? Yeah.
I'm just stuck on this the self-centeredness piece. So, has there been any explanation of the cause of self-centeredness? Because it's clear the antidote is bodhicitta.
Yeah.
But it's not caused by self-grasping or the afflictions that necessarily arise. I mean, has there been any discussion of that, or is it all vague in that way too?
Yeah, it's kind of vague in that way too. You can see the gross self-centeredness is definitely in cahoots with the self-grasping ignorance. Definitely. The subtle self-centeredness, looking out for our own, enlightenment alone, even arhats who have eliminated self-grasping ignorance have that.
I guess the way I'm conceptualizing it is, it's like a personality disorder or something like that, where we can eliminate its growth, but that if we don't take action to actually get rid of the habit of it, then we won't overcome the habit. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe the arhats, when they cut the root of self-grasping, their self-centeredness doesn't grow, but they haven't taken they cut the root off of a vine that's still living on the tree, right? And they didn't go up there and rip it down with bodhicitta or something like that.
Yeah, well, the vine actually, it's not going to die by itself.
Right.
You haven't cut the root of the vine of self-centeredness by realizing emptiness. Yeah, that vine still is connected. Yeah.
Of the subtle.
Hmm?
You've cut the root of the gross one though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not of the subtle one.
So you cannot, if he has not cut the full root completely, he cannot be called an arahant at that point.
No, you can be called an arhat because you've eliminated the self-grasping ignorance. The self-grasping ignorance is part of the afflictive obscurations that prevent becoming an arhat. So you've eliminated all of those, but you still have the subtle self-centeredness.
Then you're not fully liberated.
You're liberated from samsara, but you don't have the awakening of a Buddha. An arhat does not get reborn in samsara, but they don't have the same ability to benefit sentient beings that a Buddha does. Okay. Okay. Oh.
I just wanted to say it's helpful actually to have a teacher on the path because it's like an easy, object to practice with because teaching, seeing what is going on within you, what's driving you, and challenging you in many ways. And then you get more and more habituated to overcome your self-centeredness, and then the projection on others, on your friends and enemies and strangers, comes with it. What you have habituated yourself with relating to your teacher, following the instructions, that will kind of parade throughout your following actions.
Yeah. Yeah, very much we practice with our teacher because we already have some strong regard, so that helps us overcome our habitual negative projections, and then to take it from there to sentient beings as well. Yeah. Okay. I should say other sentient beings as well.